Hello and welcome to the CantinaMX Podcast. A bit of technical difficulties right now. I can't really play music yet, but I will be here soon. I want to thank you guys for joining us Thursday, November 9th? Is that where we are? November 9th? Seems right. November 9th, 2017. It's 9:30 Central. Thank you guys for joining us. I know everyone is shocked that we're actually starting more or less on time. I know I'm shocked. Because you say 9:30, you really mean 9:40, 9:45. Y'all know how it is. But we do have a live. There we are. There's a little music there. Do have a. Oh, that's weird because it's only one channel. Gotta figure out how to make that mono. But anyway, my name is John Jagu. Happy to have you guys with us. We have a lot to talk about tonight in a very short period of time, so we will jump right into it. First, let's go ahead and introduce our panel. Another expurgated version of our panel, but nonetheless, some very strong opinions, very strong and intelligent and talented folks that are joining us tonight. We'll start in California, South Los Angeles, with Joel Aceves joins us. Joel, how are you?
Doing pretty good, Yon. Bit intrigued with.
I'm sorry?
Bit intrigued with some of the rumors flying out of Guadalajara.
Yeah, there are.
As heating up,
as there usually are this time of year, a lot of rumors. As we enter the what I would call the silly season, where some teams think that they need to make 15 changes to their roster, and then the owners wonder why the team isn't playing well when they're after 3 games have only tied once, and then they fire the coach. But yeah, there are some intriguing rumors for sure, and a lot of intrigue, a lot of Palace intrigue happening right now at Chivas.
And conflicting rumors too, John, which adds spice to it.
Well, each agent has, they have their people to protect, so there's a lot of stories that are being fed to, we'll just say, friendly pens, and some to maybe some not so friendly pens to try and get information and misinformation out, as is usually the case when there is a front office political struggle, which is what appears to be happening. I mean, when does that ever not happen? Not necessarily at Chivas, but with any team in Liga MX, and for that matter, any team around the world. I mean, it's just a standard practice, especially when a team struggles. There's always people that are looking to point fingers, looking to pass blame. No one ever seems to want to accept blame. But we will certainly talk about that here a little bit later. But before we do that, we also need to introduce our technical director, a gentleman by the name of Albert El Chiquis Campa, joins us from Kyle, Texas. Albert, how are you? Is Albert not with us? Am I not with us? Hello.
I think Al fell asleep.
Chiquis must not be with us. Well, we will we'll get Chiquis back on here momentarily. Well, Joel, since no one else seems to want to join us, we will let's jump right into the into the Chivas Palace intrigue. Now let's recap what's happened. So over the past season, a season in which I believe that one Joel Aceves predicted that Chivas would struggle mightily because of their lack of preseason preparation, etc.
And injuries,
injuries, and I'm not going to call it campeonitis, but because I know that's kind of a cop out.
Yeah.
But it was pretty obvious that the Chivas was going to have some problems with everything, and I think any sane Chivas fan would expect them to struggle, and which is exactly what's happened. Now they've had some bad luck. They did lose the Clásico Tapatío. You don't have any Atlas fans in and around South Los Angeles there, Joel, to rub it in your face, because it happens so rarely that I'm sure that they come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, no, I've rarely seen any. They're non-existent.
How bizarre is that? That you see Chivas fans everywhere, but Atlas fans, but they would come out of the woodwork when if and when they finally win something. It
Yeah,
reminds me of a few years ago when America won their first title in what was it, 10 years or whatever it was. I guess that was 8 years, from '05 to 2013. And my Facebook feed, all from one day to the next, turned canary yellow. I had no idea that I had people that had never even talked about Club America. In the
did,
entirety of the time I'd ever been on Facebook, all of a sudden, America, America, woo! It
did you
was it
have a
was
neighbor like mine, John?
it wasn't that bad, but I mean,
They're-
but I mean, it seemed like I was hearing that song in my, just everywhere. I know I don't have a neighbor like that, Joel. For those of you that don't know, Joel, like, was it 2 or 3 doors down? Has a
yes,
gentleman that has a Club America stained glass window. His
yeah.
curb, his the number, you like paint numbers on your curb, so that the emergency personnel or the pizza folk can can locate your address. It says like 314, and there's a Club America logo on there. So that I guess that's for
and he
people to know that there's an America fan coming.
and he has two giant flags, just in case you missed all of that.
That's right, and he has the two giant flags. Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty much what it was like. All of a sudden, these people just come out of nowhere. They came out of nowhere. But that doesn't seem to happen with Atlas fans. But then again, we really haven't seen Atlas really win anything, at least not in my lifetime. And so, but they did win, and it officially put Chivas season in the freezer. They're done. They next season they have the regular season. They don't have Copa MX, but they do have Conca Champions. And Almeida has said that he's going to stick. He's going to at least for now. He's going to stay with Chivas. They're saying there's no battles or conflicts with him and the Chivas general manager, Mr. Jose Higuera. People tend to think that that's not the case at all. I tend to think that that's not the case at all because in the last Fecha FIFA, Mr. Higuera went on a quote unquote tour of Europe to see how things are done in other clubs, and didn't pose that many pictures, but he did pose a picture with him and Mr. Caixinha, who has recently just been fired by Rangers. So, it could be that is a potential replacement for Pelado Almeida, which I think, again, Joel, I think would be a huge, huge mistake, not just for Almeida to leave, but for Higuera to fire him. I firmly believe that Chivas need, at least through the next season, they both just need to say, you know what, we have our differences, but let's just go ahead and concentrate. They're going to have a full preseason coming up. They have the opportunity to make it to the Club World Cup because they should be considered a favorite in the Conca because they've never played the knockouts in the Conca Champions, at least not in this version of it. So to me, Chivas have a lot to play for next season, and I think the best thing for them to do is to stick to what they have right now, and then maybe add. If they're going to add anything, just add maybe one or two players, and then play with what you have. I think it would be a big mistake for them to do otherwise.
Yeah, the team is definitely strong enough. I mean, once they recover all the injured players, they do have a good squad, and they should be motivated because there are a couple players that are in the pool for the World Cup. I mean, they're not shooing, but you never know with injuries and the like.
You're absolutely right. I mean, and players that weren't selected to go to Europe, like Orbelin Pineda, who I think is certainly in the what
Yes,
we call it like the pool of 30 to 35 players. I think Rodolfo Pizarro's in that.
Pizarro
A couple
and
of defenders.
Pulido.
Pulido's absolutely in it because of Mexico's dearth of talent up front. So yeah, I mean there are certainly players that can and
And they've been called up before.
right and people tend to forget that when Chicharito did not really get going until that clausura season right before the 2010 World Cup,
Exactly.
and he just went bananas. And of course, he was it was totally taken advantage of by Vasco Aguirre by leaving him on the bench for the first 3 games.
Yeah, because some coaches would do that because you could have a player that they're like a mainstay. Like let's say a Gio, for example, but Gio's been like plummeting. He hasn't been doing too good. So I mean, he could be left out if you have a player like Pizarro or even Pulido that they're just on fire. So why wouldn't you want to
Yeah,
take a player that's that?
and we've said this before on this podcast. Because of the 9-9 rule or the 10-8 rule or however you want to call it, if Chivas is playing well, then that bodes very well for the national team because of the fact that a good Chivas, a player that's playing well at Chivas should be an automatically. I'm not saying automatically, called up, but I mean it should be automatically considered for sure. And we saw that in the Gold Cup with how many Chivas were on that. With Berlin and Pizarro who had and Pulido before he got hurt. I mean they had very good seasons with Chivas and they absolutely deserve the call up. So for fans of other teams that may not necessarily like Chivas, but you like Mexico and you want Mexico to do well in the World Cup, you want Chivas to do well next season because that bodes well for the national team.
Yeah, so that should be motivation for a lot of these players. Because I know a lot of them want to leave. Before it used to be here at Guadalajara, so you got to Guadalajara or America or one of those bigger clubs and you had it made. But now it's players want to make the jump to Europe, so that I know a lot of these younger guys still have that goal. So I mean, I think this next season for a lot of them, if they want to not just make it to the World Cup, but also like go abroad, it will be next season.
Now, joining us in Escondido, California, is Daniel Preciado. Daniel, how are you, sir?
Doing good. Full belly.
Are you watching your beloved Santos play Monterrey right now?
No, I'm not actually. I'm back at my usual post outside to make sure I don't disturb anybody.
Yeah.
Was Dan? Are you upset that Morrissey canceled again?
I didn't buy tickets, so and I'm not one of those like I kid, but I'm not one of those like super obsessed fans where I'm not that fat guy crashing the stage.
He only peaked his hair 2 inches instead of his usual 4 before he went out.
I'm not gonna lie. There's been moments in time where I have rocked a little bit of a pump, different versions, but no, I'm not too disappointed and not surprised. As he told us in Hollywood, he's English.
That's right. He's also a Hammers fan, so I'm sure that has added to his disappointment. Well, good news for you, Dano. It is 1-1 halftime. They're playing in La Tamalera because this is a makeup game from one of those games. It was raining so hard that there was no way that they could have played. So Monterrey Santos is hanging in there.
The bad news is even if they win this game and next, they're still eliminated.
Well, Dan and I right now we're looking to not worry so much about Liguilla, but
we have other problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. The percentage.
And every point counts.
That is true. That is true.
Point against Monterrey is
it's worth its weight in gold. Worth its weight in gold. Of that, there is absolutely no doubt. Now, Joel, before we introduce Dan, there was some other rumors, and some of the rumors are that Chivas are looking at a couple of bringing in a couple of real heavyweights into Chivas, and we were talking about this during at least yesterday. I mean, I rack my brain to try and think of heavyweights that are eligible to play for Chivas that play in Liga MX that Chivas doesn't already have.
Well,
that would
true.
Now, I'd have to preface that would be available to go and play for Chivas in positions.
What if they're brothers, John?
Brothers?
Yeah, they could just come on loan. They don't necessarily have to.
Those brothers come somewhere else, though.
I don't think that those brothers have their hearts somewhere else. If they were
no, I know, but if they're going on loan,
It's worth a try.
and I think
They're itching.
you
I
know,
mean, they're getting a pressure to play, obviously, or at least they're being encouraged to play.
You know,
yeah,
the team who should really be behind, you know, and be supportive of that should be LA Galaxy, honestly, because
I think they are. I'm pretty sure they will be.
yeah, I mean they need to be. And the reason I say that is that, you know, I mean LA Galaxy will fare a lot better uh, in every phase of the game, on the field and off the field, if the Dos Santos brothers get it going. Because right now they are not getting it going.
Yeah, and if they go to the World Cup, if they both get called up, you know, it raises their stock. And if they have a good cup and then come back, you know, it'll bring the fans.
That they're going to go to Mexico just to even play in the World Cup because right now,
No, that's the point to go to Mexico to be in good form and
Stay sharp. Yeah.
They have some options. I mean, I to me the one that makes the most sense, although I don't think that necessarily the team needs it, is America, just because that's where their dad played. Now their dad, you know, also played in Monterrey. But again, you know, where are they going to play Monterrey? Because you know, Tigres certainly doesn't need it, and Rayados really don't need him. Now,
yeah.
another place where I think that could be an option for them, that I think would help them a lot, is Cholos.
It's true, but do they have the money? Last we heard, you know, Caliente
Yeah,
wasn't turning out
the casino business
the
must be
coins.
having a rough time. People aren't pouring their money, you know, out of their pockets into theirs as often as one would think would be happening.
Someone rigged the slot machines.
Yeah, they must be. They must have.
They're paying out too much.
They must have read Donald Trump's books of how to manage casinos, because he appears to be the only person on the planet that loses money
You know,
managing a casino.
I could see Higuera going after the Los Santos. You know, that's just he's always been going after the big names. He tried
That's what
to
I was
get
gonna say.
Vela. He
Yeah.
tried to get Vela. He even said it. He kind of threw a jab saying he was more
But
interested in the money.
but does Chivas really need the Dos Santos brothers?
Well, not necessarily, especially if they're just coming on loan. No.
I could tell you could use the Dos Santos brothers.
I would say yes.
Or Pumas.
No, I mean, yeah, you could use them because they're talented guys, but I mean, Chivas is a squad that's pretty. It's already built. It could be disruptive to an effect, but I
How
don't
much
think
of
Higuera
an
cares.
influence?
He just wants to associate the big names to the team.
How much of a good influence would Giovanni and Jonathan be on La Chofis?
I don't know.
Well,
They probably would all
hasn't
go clubbing.
Jonah always been a good professional though?
He has.
No.
Actually, he's probably outside of Chicharito. He's
No,
probably a very solid professional.
and I still remember those drunken pics.
Not of Jonathan.
Oh no, not Jonathan. I mean
Oh,
Gio.
dude, he's 20. I'm
Yeah.
sure, Joel, that there are no drunken pictures of you when you were 20 years old.
Well, he learned how to hit them.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he was a kid. I mean, he was what, maybe 21,
And
22?
and you know that
20?
That the veterans at Tottenham, you know that they ran him through the ringer.
I mean, they were.
You know that happened.
And if you're gonna get faded, I mean, you might as well be like protect. You know, in the company of your teammates who are taking care of you. They obviously carried him.
Yeah, they did.
They didn't drop him. They didn't leave him stranded there. So he was in good hands.
It was very noble what they did. Very noble.
It's something most of us have experienced at one point or another. Maybe some more than others.
that's why I went to MLS, so you could live up the life and continue on. Just like coach for Pachuca said.
You're just anti-fun, Beto. That's your problem.
Yeah.
What did the guy from Pachuca say? When Tom asked him out in the U.S. and he sort of chuckled. He just chuckled and laughed and was like, "No, they're too used to the party and they're not."
Yeah, but that guy doesn't know. I mean, I think that there's no question that they're, you know, and Fernando is listening, and I'm sure he is.
Release the Kraken.
That because we Juan and I, more than anybody, defended Giovanni, a capa y espada. Right? I mean, we just to the death, saying that his level of play wasn't going to fall off, and obviously it did. Now that I'm not saying that was a direct result of. I mean, the whole team, the whole Galaxy team, just compared to how they normally play in MLS, was a complete disaster. I mean, it was. They are perennially not only a playoff team but a championship team. I mean, they always made it very far. They had a coach. I think if Arena was there, I think things would have been different for them. A lot of factors, but the reality is that their level of play has dropped some. But now I will say for Giovanni though, and Dan and I talked about this in the last two qualifiers. Giovanni, I think, was one of the better players, and definitely in the. I guess it was the two previous ones. So it's not like he hasn't.
I don't think either of them have
much.
embarrassed themselves.
No.
None of them, especially when you compare them to their peers who are in Europe, who didn't exactly set the world on fire. So I mean,
embarrassed themselves on the pitch or in
on the pitch. On the pitch. I don't think
getting drunk in the back of that car is pretty embarrassing though.
Yeah, but that happened in 2008, dude. I mean, let's let it. I think we can let that go.
Doesn't matter.
Right? Can we let it go?
Yeah, I'm just saying that's embarrassing for that to happen. Like I understand.
I had a really bad holiday party once where I said things I shouldn't have said because I was holding some resentment and I had too much to drink. But that's not indicative of who I am, Beto. That's not who I am.
That's understandable, though.
That was a weak moment.
You're not a professional athlete.
Why should he be held to a higher standard, though?
Because he's
John, we can really hear you breathing super loud, dude.
Oh, sorry about that, boys.
He's using his body to make money and to be a professional athlete. You doing that at a party or whatever is not ruining. Well, I mean, it could possibly ruin your professional career, but it's not going to.
It absolutely could have.
It's not going to have the impact on your body or the tools that you use to do your job. Whereas in professional athletes, and that's what the guy from Pachuca is saying, when you want a young professional athlete who's going to bring money to your club, you don't want some guy who's out worried about Instagram likes and all this stuff. But
that's an assumption that you're saying that he's concerned with that stuff. Just because he's posting doesn't mean he's obsessed. We don't know how much time he's investing on it. We don't know how much time it's actually taken away from training.
Drinking. I'm saying drinking or smoking and all this stuff. That's causing drug harm.
Hey man,
Socrates
maybe smoked 2 packs a day and was one of the great midfielders in history.
But yeah, I don't think having a drink here or there is going to have that much of a detrimental effect. I honestly don't think so. I mean, there's been, like you said, there's been plenty of athletes before them that have done it. I mean, Todd Marinovich was functioning quite well as an Arena League football player, high on heroin. So I mean,
dude,
I am on PCP right now, and you don't notice any difference, right? I'm bringing at least my B- game.
Don't think of the broken ceiling that they could have had without that stuff.
Well, I don't necessarily think that one drunken
too.
party. Yeah, one drunken party was the direct result of that. I think it was certainly a side effect. But Giovanni's biggest problem in his entire career was, in my opinion, was exemplified by him not playing at all for 3 years after playing having like 30 appearances for Barcelona and playing well for Barcelona when they had one of the great teams in history, and he was on that team and he did all right for those guys, and then deciding that for some reason he needed to change.
I think he should go to.
I guess I'm of the opinion that while maybe you have a point that maybe drinking or smoking or whatever, on occasion even, may not be maybe kind of hurting them physically on some level, but how do you know that not drinking is going to maybe affect them mentally where they're not as happy? They're not as at peace. I mean, there's a lot of people that like to get a drink to take the edge off for whatever the reason. And I mean, if I know that while I might be physically healthier, if I stopped drinking beer, I certainly wouldn't be as happy. I wouldn't be as comfortable without it. So
That's that's
mental midgetry.
Yeah, exactly. it's all in your mind. It's all in your mentality of motivation.
Yeah, exactly. Not all people are wired the same way.
Things can make you happy. I mean, you could go out and go on a run. It'll make you happy, and that can change your life. Or you can do yoga, and that can change your life, and you would be mentally.
Maybe they're not wired that way. Maybe they don't want to do yoga. Maybe they'd rather have a beer. Maybe they'd rather have a laugh.
Yeah, if that works out.
Well, see again, but Chicken, this is something I was fans always have the Madonna whore complex when it comes to athletes. Like they want their athletes to be, perfect at everything that they do on and off the field, and it's just not the case, man. It's just not the case.
They don't have to be perfect, and I mean, in my opinion, they don't have to be perfect. But they need to take care of their tools.
Well, you don't want them to drink. You don't want them to post pictures on Instagram. I mean, you want them. You want them to.
You probably don't want them fornicating either,
right? You don't want it. Yeah.
Well,
having social visits with members of the opposite sex.
That's that depending on time frames on that could not affect or not be.
You would allow that from 3 to 3:45 on Wednesdays.
Well, I think there's like a
not before a game though.
I don't know the science. Yeah, that's what I was getting.
Oh my god!
I don't know the science of that.
You were born like a couple decades late, Beto. Do you still start off every morning with raw eggs?
That's not a bad idea. Like what? What's the thing?
Like Rocky style, just like wake up at dawn, crack about half a dozen into a cup, and then just chug and then start your workout.
Eggs bad, and dairy's bad, and wheat's bad, and all that stuff.
Hey man, life causes cancer, chickies. All right, so
that's how it is.
I mean, that's just the reality. Man, I'm so disappointed. I'm trying to find your morality thing, and I can't find it. It sucks.
Yeah, I really do think that there's too much. I mean, if the player's able to function, I don't think they should be required to be on the job 24/7. I mean, as far as athletes are concerned, their seasons are longer than anybody else's, than any other professional athlete.
Well, you see evidence of effects. Even Pulido. We can go back to Chivas. Pulido was criticized in the past few weeks about going to parties and doing crazy stuff.
Is that so? Who made you pope in this dump, huh?
But yeah, I mean, you can have fun. I don't have beef with players, doing whatever.
Well, I don't think your definition of fun would equate to other people. I'm not sure your definition of fun is would align with theirs.
Sure, it's the same as well. Like I don't see Giovanni in the back, not even coherent and knowing what he's doing to be fun. Maybe before it was pretty fun. Maybe before getting totally lost, it was fun. Whoa!
Sorry about that, boys. I'm not sure what that was. See, it's all that PCP I'm doing before the show.
Yeah, it's affecting your game, dude. Be more of a professional.
All my cables.
Sounds like you're playing Operation.
No.
Just trying to get that funny bone.
That could help you be a great personality, though, John. So then that
is actually, I'm not sure. Sorry about that. One of my knobs, like the worst knob you could turn to the right, got turned to the right, and it wasn't me that did it.
No.
So that is very strange.
El Duende.
That's right. It was the little gnome.
My mom was big on blaming him.
Yeah, my dad called it the not me fairy. Oh yeah, the not me fairy must have done it. Yeah. Chickies, I'm not, I mean, obviously this is a position that you have and you maintain and you're very, very, very passionate about. And I don't necessarily think that you're wrong. I don't. But I do think that, for if you're going to be an athlete where you're, your lifestyle can be determined by, how much you bust your ass on the field, then I totally understand, the folks that like you need to take care of your body, what you eat, and blah, 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 and I get all that. But, some folks just want to have it as madre, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, I remember when we were saying, oh, Cheech is going to EPL, he needs to bulk up, he needs to get stronger and stuff. That's sort of the same point.
Well, speaking of Cheech, he might be leaving soon. I don't think...
Yeah.
Pretty bad news for him.
That David Moyes, of all the coaches, and that just to me is like, just ugh. And and the thing is that for I know that for players like the players in Porto and Chicharito, there's no way they're going to recoup what they paid for him in Europe. Chicharito maybe, but definitely not the guys in Porto. And there are a couple of teams in Mexico that would gladly pay the quote unquote a fair market value for players like that.
I kind of disagree with you, John. I think HH and Tecatito still have a potential to make a big money transfer, especially if they have a good World Cup.
That's true. H has played well in Tecatito. He's hot and cold, but he needs to get off that half potential and start actually doing it.
I think
doing it on a consistent basis.
Not that it's an excuse, but I do think a change of scenery might reinvigorate their mojo a little bit. But I'm actually surprised that a big team hasn't gone after Herrera. I think he's worth the gamble.
I thought that Herrera would have gone after the World Cup in Brazil because he had an outstanding World Cup, and he had a really good chance to score against Holland in the first half. And I think if that goes in, that could have been a very.
Does he have a passport? European Union?
I'm not sure if Portugal has the 4-year rule like Spain does. I would assume it does.
That could be a big factor too. Just not having that.
Well, they've been there for 3 years. You got to figure that they got to be getting close to being for that eligibility.
True.
It seems like Herrera's been there forever.
He's been there since 2013. So this is going into his 4th year for sure.
Wow.
So he should be able to get his pass. But I'm not. I mean, I do think a player like Diego Reyes or Layun both, I think would be excellent candidates for Chivas. But that's the whole pacto thing. Is America going to allow that to happen?
Yeah, those are two big players.
Yeah,
I just don't see America letting them go.
And which is why I think if there was a player that would benefit unbelievably from coming back and playing and getting minutes is Raúl Jiménez. But there's only one place he can go.
You're aiming too high though if you're thinking Chivas. I mean, player-wise.
But the guy has proven that he wants to spend the money. So
but he's most likely to get back the Ranger players. He'll get Goulet back and Lalo Herrera. Which is funny because Chivas tried buying him, and Pumas wanted
well, like I said, but
wanted all this money, and then they sold him really cheap.
Is that the only way the Rangers gets their money back is they sell him back to Mexico? Because they're not, Goulet's not going to go to, Almeria, or, he's not going to Bordeaux.
He could go to Motherwell.
That's right. Hey, what was the name of the on Arrested Development, the mother-daughter or the daughter's son or the mother's son rather? You remember that, Dan?
Mother-son?
The mother-son dance that the grandma took the George Michael to.
Refresh my memory.
Where she dresses him like Sonny Bono and she's Cher and you know what I'm talking about? And
I'm sure I've seen it, but
and Buster and so that's the name of this dance, but it's also the name of a heavy metal band, and Ron Howard and Randy says we're legally obligated to make the distinction. It's hilarious. anyway, so yeah, I think Mother Boy, that's what it was, Mother Boy.
Those guys are high probability coming back.
I don't think Raúl is going to be coming back.
No, I know that. I mean, I'm just. But my point is that Chivas would be willing to pay what?
I think that Chivas should probably be maybe aiming for maybe more younger player.
There aren't any though.
Because I just don't see them getting those types of players. I think their best shot is maybe taking a chance and maybe getting someone. And I know, to your point, there isn't anybody or at least not a whole lot of players that are just obvious choices.
I just don't see the former Americanistas, if they return soon, joining Chivas. If they do, it will be when they're about to retire. But they wouldn't come to Guadalajara. I think America would. I really doubt they'll just let them go. Unless they get a nice cut, and then they will most likely be like a Tigres or Monterrey.
Man. So you're saying that Chivas just stick with what they have, huh?
No, well, like I'm saying, like Layun, Jimenez, Diego, I think those guys would. America would be their first choice, and then, if not, one of the Monterrey teams. But I just, no matter what Chivas offers, I just can't see them joining Chivas.
Well, I can't see them joining Chivas for more political reasons than financial. I just don't think that America would allow it. I think it's one thing if you're over 30 and have had a pretty decent career.
If I was Chivas, I wouldn't have no Americanista come to my team. If I was Higuera, I'd be like, man, screw Jimenez.
Higuera is an Americanista.
You know what I mean? It would be like a pustule that, like this yellow pustule that grows and.
Infection.
Although he claims he no longer is, but when they dug up
he still has Americachones. You know he does.
Yeah, he has a soft spot. But yeah, they dug up his old tweets, and he was, he would always, during the Clásicos, he would always tweet and make fun of Chivas.
What about our boy Chicharito? Joel, do you think that is something that
he's
has
coming
been
to
bandied about?
He's coming to MLS,
he's definitely going to MLS.
He's going to MLS. The money's in the US, and especially players like him, where they're more of a brand, and they could get so much money out of sponsors. He's gonna bank it if he comes here, than if he goes to Mexico.
We were talking about this on the
in the chat.
I think he can do just fine in either country.
Yeah,
personally,
I got.
No, he'll do fine, but he could just make so much more money in the U.S.
Who cares? He's got enough. But check this out. I think Chicharito has enough class and enough loyalty, and is such a good guy. He probably will choose Chivas instead of selling out and going to.
That's not selling out, and also there's just more possibilities because.
Look how he would be a Chivas legend. He dominates. He does well in Europe. Comes back to Chivas, maybe wins a league before for a few years before he retires, and then
he will still be considered a Chivas legend even if he never returns.
No.
I hate to say it, but it's not that difficult now to become a Chivas legend.
But he would be even greater though if he would go back to Chivas, win a title, retire at Chivas in 4, 5, 6, however many years.
You win a title, man. They just won it, so 10 years.
No, he
would retire before they even
window before they need to worry about winning another.
He already knows that's not happening. He missed that window.
Hey, what is the only other club that Chicharito tweets about other than the one he's playing for?
I don't know, man. I don't follow him on Twitter.
Did he block you too, Joel?
No.
You sure?
Yeah, I've never even added him.
You didn't go full all Woody Woodpecker on Chicharito?
Nah.
All right. He tweets about Chivas all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Chivas will welcome him with open arms when he's 35. He could be 38. They'll still take him in. He's kind of like a celebrity, so he's gonna get more out of it coming to the U.S. If he goes to Mexico, it's just more limited.
Limited by what?
Just the possibilities and the money and all that. It's just
I disagree, dude. I disagree. I think he can make just as much.
He needs a Head and Shoulders commercial in Los Angeles. That's what you're saying, right?
And not only that, but I mean, he exactly.
yeah.
His market is bigger in Mexico than it is in the U.S.
I mean, but he still gets it. He still gets that market. He doesn't have to be there to get it. That's the thing. And just being in the U.S., he could grow his brand a bit more. So that's the whole thing. You don't have to be there.
And he's gonna have to go on loan for the next World Cup so he can get some playing time before, because the schedule's all messed up, just like the Gio brothers or the Dos Santos brothers.
I'm pretty sure that this is Chicharito's and the Dos Santos brothers' last World Cup. I mean, because they'll be in, well,
one of them might make it.
Yeah.
We've had a couple guys in their mid late 30s.
Well, they'll be in their early 30s for the next one, so 32, 33. I mean, if Tim Cahill, who, by the way, got hurt last week, and I don't know if y'all have seen Australia play, but let's just say that Honduras is going to give them a really good that one is going to be decided in the second half of the second leg, and maybe even an extra time. That one could go to penalties, especially with Cahill gone. I understand and I agree with what you're saying. I just think that Chicharito has more. I think that his life is more important than his brand, and I do feel that he is has more of a reason to go back to Mexico than when Giovanni certainly doesn't, and neither does Carlos. They've been gone for much.
Gentlemen, I'll remind you guys. Chicharo banned a lot of the Mexican press. For a long time, he wasn't even giving interviews in Spanish. So yeah. he doesn't like a lot of that stuff, especially
Hugo
when
Sanchez did the same thing.
Especially when they get, into the personal stuff. So he likes to stay away from that. So that would be another reason for him to come to LA.
So you think that he would like the anonymity of playing in a?
Yeah, you don't get none of that. They were posting, I think it was one of the Mexican rags, and they were already talking about how some rumor going around from way back when that his current girlfriend had participated like in an orgy. And it's like, he don't want to read that stuff, His current girlfriend was like I don't know if she still is, but she was an actress. So the rumor was that,
So the rumor wasn't about him; it was about her.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, stuff like that. So I mean, I just.
Yeah, but that would happen in any country. If he was dating an actress in the U.S., that would happen here too.
No, but you don't see those type of rumors, type of stuff like that, like here in the U.S. for soccer. At least not for soccer. You don't really read stuff like that.
Well, for soccer, maybe not. But I mean, if he's dating an actress, then yeah. I mean, you've seen TMZ, right?
Sexual harassment stuff might come out.
Harassment. Me too. So.
Got the hashtag.
Yeah, no, I just think Chicharo doesn't like a lot of how like Mexican football. There's a lot of stuff he doesn't like about it. So I just think he'll get a special treatment over here, and then he's gonna come over here.
Well, you're probably right. But I do think that he, more so than any player in Mexico, I think has a much is much more wired in Mexico than some of the other guys are.
Yes,
so
but look who we would have to work with, do like Higuera and Vergara, so it's not your ideal boss.
Well, I mean, again, I don't think that's. I mean, that's the same everywhere, man.
I don't know, man. He could be hanging out with Will Ferrell and Tony Robbins
and Bob Bradley.
Yeah. and neighbors with Gio and Bella, or he could be in Mex, dude, getting offers to from the cartels for your businesses, like Marquez. Okay.
Look up fake businesses to not pay
Yeah,
tax.
man. Yeah, like the
Well, didn't that happen
news
when
just came out.
Rafa was in Barcelona?
No, Herrera and Diego Reyes, I think. Well, I don't know if that's not a woman, but
Their names came up.
yeah, the name. Wasn't it the Panama Papers? I think. Yeah.
Yeah, man. See, so I mean, go to Guadalajara, get an offer you can't refuse, and Fundación Chicha is being used to launder money. I mean, I would just stay over here and in the U.S.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what. I mean, I'm pretty sure that you're probably right. But I do think again that if there is one player that would consider it, I think it would be Chicharito, just because of. I think he has more roots in Guadalajara than.
No, I know, but it's a 2-hour flight, John. He's there in 2 hours, LAX to Guadalajara, right there.
You want a new guy so you can go kiss the hand, man, right?
Yeah, no, and you know what? I know Mexican fans don't like seeing their seleccionados playing right here in the U.S., but I'm pretty sure about 80% of this squad is gonna end up over here.
That's a pretty fair assessment.
There's already three players that we would have never guessed. They would have been here that
did it in their peak of their careers. I'm sure that's in 2005. If you ask any fan of Mexico after watching Mexico put 7 up on Brazil and Holland combined in the semifinal and final of that World Cup, thinking that when these guys are peaking and they're late, they're mid to late 20s, that they're going to be playing at MLS teams.
Yeah, and there's Ochoa. I don't really see Ochoa landing a good Euro club.
Well, Ochoa is one of those guys that once he gets his passport, I think that he will.
We need to,
and I think that's why he's at Belgium
write
this
that
year.
Down. We need to write that down, John.
But why else would he go to Belgium? Why else would he go to Belgium?
No, yeah, I agree. He did it for that. I'm just saying that offer's not gonna come.
Okay.
And he's gonna be like.
He's gonna be at Sporting Kansas City.
Do I stay right here in some, low, bottom of the table team, face another relegation battle, or do I cash my chips and, make a nice fat paycheck?
Play for the new Austin team.
But he's a keeper, though.
Yeah, pretty much.
He can play into his 40s.
No, I know, but he's not gonna get the same amount of money. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, is he really going to command that much money now more than later?
Coming after the World Cup, yes, because there's a big market.
But as long as he's part of the national team, MLS is going to be interested in him. And he's absolutely one of the faces of the team. I mean, he's been part of the national team for a long, long time. I mean, almost as long as Rafa.
Yeah, yes. Not always a starter, but yeah, he has been there.
That's for more personal, like, coaching decisions and
but
randomness.
My thing is, ¿para qué quiero estar chingándola ya? You're not even getting that respect.
Well, he's got the itch, and fuck what people think. I mean, if that's what he wants to do, I mean, and he wants to.
No, I'm not saying what people think. I'm saying your own self-worth.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You could be battling it somewhere.
But that's the thing, Joel, is that why is self-worth tied to money?
Well, because you could go where you're valued more. So, I mean, you're going to go somewhere and you're going to get better treatment.
But you're
going to keep trying to prove yourself over and over again, and it's just, you could just be in a club that will just release you for pennies.
That's perseverance, though, man. That's
From
perseverance.
perseverance for what? He's had a really good career. It's not like he's trying to make something.
Yeah, I know that he was, having a really hard time playing at Ajaccio when he's living in frickin' Corsica. You got to be kidding me, man. Please.
Hey, well then why didn't he
That's
stay?
a hell of a point.
Because they were
Why didn't he
relegated.
stay?
Because they were
Yeah,
relegated.
But not
then
only
he
that,
went-
though, he does have ambition, though. That's the thing. Like, there is a lot of that to it. So he's willing to maybe bypass some of the fame and like right now that maybe that was his only option at the time. But he doesn't want to.
Yeah, MLS.
He doesn't want to
declined
cash it in.
year, and he could have done that easily, but he wants to get his EU. I mean, what if he has another sensational World Cup in Russia, and he has his EU passport? He can go wherever. Then it won't be a problem.
With a passport, he's easily good enough to be on a mid-table team, just about any league,
or better. But no one is going to do that for a goalie. They're just not. They have to have the passport.
How old is he now? How old is Ochoa now?
He's 29, 30. He's got 10 more years.
That's a good phrase by Dan, the cash it in. You're basically bringing back the memories of Pern. That this age he's going to be retiring to MLS instead of going to play in MLS.
Well, no, I would consider cashing it in even back to Mexico.
He's 32, John. He
still has a solid 6-7 years left in his career. Solid.
Yeah, he's a keeper.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. After the World Cup, if he doesn't get a good offer, and not just from a team, but like wage wise.
But he in theory has another World Cup in him.
No, but see, these guys have to think about retirement. Yeah, but you could get injured. There's all this stuff that could happen. So ultimately, you have to think you have to think about life after football.
You got to get what you can when you can. Is that what you're saying, Hoy?
So, well, when you get to a certain age, because then you're like, what if I get injured? What if whatever happens? How am I going to sustain my family?
I mean, again, I mean, I agree with you, and that's fine. But as Dan said, people, might be wired differently.
He's not making peanuts either.
Yeah, it's not like he's suffering.
MLS
there.
Hey, Rafa wasn't making peanuts, and look what he had to do to stay afloat, man. A lot of these guys,
well, you got to be able to manage
man.
it too. No, but you believe me, I know very well how people mismanage their funds, and and the more you have, there's more handouts. The more people their handout. Except I totally get that. I mean,
yeah, man. Look at Cabañas, man. He's working at a bakery. His guy went from being at the top to now he's.
Yeah, there's a ton of cautionary tales, but I think when you consider his position, the likelihood of him, at least I don't regularly come across devastating injuries that keepers sustain. I mean, at least I don't typically hear of them. He's just his position allows him to experience a whole lot less injury, a lot less mileage accumulates. That's what allows him. That's why Conejo could still play. I think I don't know. I guess I have a soft spot for him. I think he's always been kind of gotten the short end with the national team at different points, and I appreciate the effort that he's putting in. Because let's face it, I mean he's being ridiculed by many and think it's a waste. I don't think it's a waste. It's not. If anything, it's just because it's disappointing as fans because we feel that he should be on a much bigger team in a much more bigger league, I guess. So that's why I think it'd be even more of a shame for him to just kind of quit in a sense and just go to MLS or back to Mexico where it's comfortable.
You need to listen
to. Let him fight, man.
I mean, to me, the whole reason he went to Belgium, I mean, is a huge indication of where he wants his career to end up.
No, yeah, I agree with you, John. I agree that he wants a revancha, and he.
Yeah, but again, it makes it so much easier for goalies, particularly that if they have an EU passport, then they have a much easier time of finding a team. That's just the reality.
But my spider senses says that he's not. That's just my spider senses, John.
Okay.
He's not gonna get it.
He
He's
still
gonna
has
get his
the
passport,
same agent as before.
and he's gonna be stuck there in Belgium, and he's gonna have to be like, do I want to be here or do I want to make 3, 4 more times that money? You know. So that's just my and be close to Mexico,
Well,
a
I mean,
2 hour, 1 hour flight,
again,
or
I think that if he wanted to make that decision, he had an excellent opportunity to make that before the season started. He chose to go to
no,
Belgium.
no, I'm saying yeah, but I can see his way of thinking, like get his EU passport, have a good World Cup, and then close off his career playing in a pretty good team, probably that's in the Champions League, and it's a good goal to have. I'm just saying, my prediction is that even if he does have a good tournament, he's not gonna get a good offer from a good European team, and so he's gonna have to make a choice: do I stay at in Belgium or some small club,
No, and again, that's
or
fine.
do I go?
But at least he's taken the risk.
Oh yeah, that's.
So I don't understand why that's.
I guess my
No.
and my spider senses aren't nearly as acute as Joel's, but I just think that he's got a whole lot of. I'm thinking he's going to be our keeper in 4 years' time. So that's why I think that money, he's still going to be. I guess if he's still in the national team, then he's still going to be a focus of attention, and I think that money from MLS and Mexico will still be there in 4 years' time.
No, but because what I'm saying is,
but I know
these guys
it's not
have
guaranteed.
families and they're raising their families, and that sometimes it comes into play, like, where am I gonna raise my kids? Am I gonna keep moving them around, or I'm gonna take them home now?
No, those are definitely important factors to consider for sure. But it's kind of funny though, like it's on one end, it's we're kind of or at least some of us are kind of chastising in a sense the decision to stay in Europe. Yet then we knock the ones that do.
Oh no, I commend them. I'm just saying that because he's gonna get a really good offer, he's gonna end up coming here. That's my prediction.
What's your prediction for the fight?
Oh yeah,
we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah,
Willie Nelson will astound his fans by screwing the English channel.
Really, Willie Nelson?
Well, we should before we wrap it up here, we should probably since we've talked about Ochoa and Chicharito, two of Mexico's strongest players, two players that have had, Chicharito particularly a decent career in Europe. Ochoa has played well. I mean, his teams haven't done well, but he's played well. And they're playing Belgium tomorrow, and Belgium has a very good team. They're in the middle of one of their once in a generation teams with just a disgusting display of talent, of players that excel on some of the world's great clubs. And Mexico has a chance to see how they stack up to what I would consider at least a dark horse for the World Cup. A team that that can definitely make it, as they did in the last World Cup, to the quarterfinals. And it is as far as friendlies go, it couldn't be a better test and a better way to see exactly how you stack up now that they've had tastes of playing other teams. I know that Joel posted a sticker of the scores that Mexico's had. They beat Chile in a friendly, even though it was very lucky. Then of course they lost the 7-0, the 4-1 to Germany, and then they tied Portugal twice. And on the second one they lost in penalty kicks. Was it penalty kicks or did they lose in extra time? I think it was they lost in extra time. I don't remember. It may have been that they lost in extra time. So another huge test for them. They're playing in Belgium. It sounds like all reports indicate that Mexico will be playing as their quote unquote strong team, whatever that means. The team of the ones that you'd expect. And so what's going to happen then? I mean, are we back to begging for draws, or hoping that Mexico survives, or does Mexico have a chance against these Belgians, these miserable fat Belgians?
It's gonna be tough because of the weather. I think the weather is cold and rainy and wet.
But those guys are used to it.
Yeah.
The majority of the squad, they're used to it.
They're going to look good tomorrow, I think. I don't know if they'll win, but I think they're going to look good.
I think, I think these players could match Belgium. Even if they're stronger, I still think they could match him, especially teams that attack. I think it's more to our favor. I mean, more to Mexico's favor. But with Osorio, I don't know, man. I don't have that much confidence.
My one concern is that the loss of Tecatito is huge. I think with him, I thought they had a legitimate chance of winning, just because of he has that moment of brilliance in him that he could just create a goal.
Yes.
Without him on there, and me personally, I'm just kind of bummed about it from just because we missed out on seeing him against the Confeds, and I personally, honestly felt that he would have made a difference in how that tournament played out. I honestly think that he's that important to the team as far as being a goal scoring threat, and then just the attention that he gets.
Well, yeah, and going back to Osorio, it's pretty interesting. So this little note that came out, he's only faced 4 teams that are ranked higher than Mexico. So that's Chile, like John said, they beat him at a friendly, and then they lost the Boda Roja. The other one was Uruguay, who Mexico beat 3-1 in the group stage. Portugal twice. Well, 1 draw and one loss, and then Germany. So this would be like his fifth game against a higher ranked team, but stats don't look too promising. It's and I think that's what's been important for a lot of Mexico fans. How that's why it's so divided, the opinion on Osorio, because he did so well during the qualifiers, but then when Mexico's played, these teams where we expect, if we want Mexico to play that quinto partido or to go beyond, then that's where we're judging the team more in these type of games, and hasn't been too good. So someone was joking that they should just have Osorio for qualifiers and another coach for the international tournaments.
Well, call me crazy, boys, but I don't know if y'all start noticing, but it seems like the rotaciones are happening less and less.
Yeah, he's got his I would say he's got his 8. There's probably maybe 3 players that are interchangeable, or depending on the matchups, but like.
Well, we're gonna see, man.
We have a real strong idea of who's going to be playing. Ochoa's going to be the keeper. I would figure Chicharito's probably going to start. Now that Tecatito's out, we'll probably see. I'm assuming we'll see Vela.
You want to hear?
And then I'm thinking Chucky.
You want to hear Martin's lineup?
Sure.
Well, that was Martin's lineup, wasn't it?
Yeah. That wasn't cool. So Ochoa, Ochoa, like you said, and then up front Chicharito, and he had Chucky, maybe Vela, but in the back Moreno and Araujo in the middle, and then Alvarez and Layun on the sides, HH, JDS, Reyes, Guardado.
No, I don't think that'll be it.
What about Tom's?
I think Edson's going to be playing in the midfield. I think Salcedo's going to be playing at the right back.
Do you have Tom's thing projected? Because he's been in Belgium for the past days, and he's been pretty much.
I think we'll
checking
see
out.
and Andres, and maybe Edson in the mid.
Wait,
That's
let me see.
Martin made the
Okay.
argument
that'd be my guess.
of height.
Is Martin in Belgium though, or he's?
Yeah, he is.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Probably also checking out the training sessions.
He
Yeah,
made the
so-
height comment, so that's why he brought in Nestor Araujo and Alvarez. I think that's why.
Well, I mean, remember who plays for Bell. I mean, they got Lukaku, which is, this guy
Well,
is
Well, the
tall,
good news is he
he's
hasn't
great in
been
the air.
scoring.
That doesn't mean anything.
Well, sometimes,
Mourinho, he'll say that Mexican defense was the best thing that happened to us this season. With when Lukaku gets a hat trick and turns him around.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Oh man,
That'd be great. I was like, oh man,
Savage.
he just roasted up Mexico.
But but he has been using players more and more, for sure. So, and they said today, well, we want to take possession as quickly as possible. We want to keep it. I'm sort of thinking, I know that Belgium's good, but sometimes letting the other team have possession is not so bad. I mean, that's how you get stuck. Because I don't know how many times I see Jonathan Dos Santos, pressuring way upfield, and there's nobody behind him. There's like a 40-yard hole behind him. Let him walk it up sometimes. It's okay.
It's definitely worth changing it up at least every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to pressure like that, I think that's fine. But make Chicharito play. I bet you Chicharito, if it was on the wing, would be a hell of a.
I think that's how they have to
defender.
play tomorrow, especially for those first 15, 20 minutes, because they're going to be coming.
Yeah, Chicharito
hard.
has to play defensive forward. I mean, I'm being serious. It's yeah. I mean, if they want to play like that, where they pressure, they have just pressure with your forwards, and if they break the first line, then so be it. But don't pressure with both, because if they break it, then
then you have those guys that are constantly stuck in
4-on-2. Yeah.
Man, I remember one of those. I think it might have been against Germany, where Araujo's just like, you see him, what one would assume was a sprint, but it just looked like it was in slow motion.
He's moving his legs as fast as he can. The other guy looks like he's just jogging.
It's like it looks like he's trying to go as fast as he can. I mean, he's straining.
He's a thick dude, though, man. He's a tank.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
he is.
but
like,
you don't
that's
want
why
guys,
open space is the worst thing for a guy like him.
You don't want guys to make a 40-yard run. You want guys to make a 15-yard run. Where they can catch up. And
I think that's going to be the big issue for this team is are they going to be able to prevent giving up possession in the midfield? Because it seems like more than anything that's
No, I'm still here. Sorry.
Oh.
he's got multiple personalities today. But I still think they're going to be good, man. I know, like, I have no reason to think it, considering how they've played against these better teams. But I don't know. I guess I'm what do you call it, John?
A sunshine thumper. Yeah, sunshine pumper.
Pumper.
Yeah.
Pumper. Okay.
Hey, man, I appreciate the sunshine pump, Dan. I'm not gonna lie. It's I mean, what else do we have? I mean, what? It's.
I think the Belgium hype is a little much too. If you look at the World Cup, the U.S. played all right against them. They struggled against.
Dude, Belgium should have beat the U.S.
a gajillion.
I mean, I don't know how many times did they kick it. I mean, I know that Tim Howard had a great game, but some of those was, I mean, seriously, guys.
That one Julian guy almost could have scored, or he missed like a sitter pretty much against Belgium, I believe.
Well, he did score. It was Wondolowski that wouldn't miss a sitter, but he did miss.
But I'm with you. I don't care what their rankings are. I'm yet to be convinced by this team. That's why I honestly think that Mexico's got still a decent shot at getting a result.
Yeah.
And what kind of result? Okay, so scenarios. So say Mexico plays well but loses 3-1. Would you be okay with that? Like, hey man, they showed something, but the other ones, like when Peter Crouch scores 2 goals on you in 5 minutes because he's 6'8".
Yeah, no, I don't want them losing like that. I'd be okay if they lost by a goal and they showed at least moments of good football. cohesiveness.
They came back and scored like a 2 goals or like a 3-2 loss.
And keep in mind when it happens too, because I think the game's probably going to change drastically after the first half. So mostly, actually, I'm hoping to see a really good first half what the starters are before they make like a bunch of substitutions and change the whole dynamic of the game. So good first half. How about that? A good first half.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they acquit themselves well, I mean, if they give up a goal, so be it. But just I guess what I'm asking to is don't be down 3-0 in the first 20 minutes like they were against Germany and Cheetah. Just let's not do that.
Now, gentlemen, I hate to rain on the parade.
Well, you said you only had an hour in you in Joel, so.
Ya vete. No. If we see 2 bad games against Belgium and then Poland, do we hit the panic button?
Well, don't you want to see 2 bad games, Joel?
No. I always want the team to do good, and by this point, it's. I mean, he's Osorio JCO. He's going to be the skipper, man. He's going to be in the hot seat.
So all these substitutions that he's been doing and trying to build for 2 teams basically is to go into the knockout rounds potentially in a competition with fresh legs.
Well, I think it's not necessarily fresh legs as much as it is knowing that he's going to have to make changes because of cards and other stuff. That you have to be able to just plug in a guy and then the level doesn't go down that much. I think that's to me what the main goal is in this whole thing. I think that's also why guys have been playing out of position.
No,
because I guess I'm more concerned with the second game because I think that with him feeling the strongest, I think it's gonna look okay. Where I do think they may struggle is with that probably the likely second squad that he's gonna suit up for against Poland. Where I don't know if we're that deep.
What it seems to me is there's just one thing we have to look at in these games to determine how things are going to go. Yeah, how much space is he willing to give up between the midfield and the defenders, and is he willing to keep the lines closer together, those 2 lines closer together, and against teams like this that can just.
That was some you guys are kind of mean.
No.
Straight ignored my question.
What was your question, Joel?
I think you might have been on mute or something.
No.
No, what was your question? Did we
I
go
said that if JCO has 2 bad results, do we hit the panic button?
I was answering your question. What I'm saying is that my point is if he hasn't learned that he has to be more pragmatic as far as defending against teams like this.
Yeah.
Then there's nothing. You just have to just accept that. There's nothing. They can just hope to hell that they can handle it.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that he hasn't faced strong opposition throughout his whole run as manager. He's only had like 4 teams, that were stronger, and he had one of the weakest hex that I know some of you guys weren't agreeing with me until now. Just throwing that out.
Tell that to the
Ron,
US, man.
Did I hear Ron?
Yes, you did.
That's right. Yeah, I know some of you guys were skeptical, but by the end it was pretty obvious some of these teams were just pretty bad. But he hasn't had that, those big rivals that we could say, this guy knows what he's doing. He's had it pretty easy, man.
Well, but that's
Rocky
my point.
3 analogy.
When he has had the big ride, he has gone up against big teams. At least he went 7-4-2. As the goals that he allowed. But again, it just comes down to is he going to leave his defense exposed again? And if he does,
okay,
then you just have to. Repeatedly, then you realize that he hasn't learned anything and
So you're
it's going to
gonna
get
put wingers as centrales because they're tall.
Right. Exactly. And then it just
what worries me is the talk that I've been hearing that they're even considering him going to 2018 the next World Cup the following cycle. I read an article about Decio de Maria.
Oh
and I'm
man,
like,
Necio.
oh Jesus.
His nickname is Necio, Ron.
Necio. I hope not. I hope not.
No way.
I think it depends on
Mexico's incapable.
Yeah.
Incapable of letting a coach stay
I
that
think
long.
that's just to calmar las aguas, to give him some tranquility.
Not only that, but it's also
the
a message to the U.S. saying, you know, you have to up your ante if you want to get me.
Actually,
That
some people I think will hit the panic button. Like if Rigo was here or Johnny Rico, I'm sure they would. I'm sure both of them would get rid of him.
I think they pressed that button long ago.
Guys, I don't think they can reach. I don't think they can hit the panic button because they don't have. We don't have thumbs. We're animals. Remember.
No, but like I sort of agree, but I think it's too late. I think he needs to stay along. He needs to stay with the team until and finish the cycle. Even though they do bad in these two games or whatever, whereas other people.
Yeah, do you mean by panic meaning like let's get rid of him like now?
Yeah, exactly.
Before it's too late?
I think Rigo.
That'd be ridiculous.
Johnny Rico would want him out after these two games if they did bad.
Well, a lot of the press
at the end of the day, though, no matter who they bring in, because I know that, and I wanted to respond earlier when I don't know who said that, like they should have just brought him in for the Hex and then bring in another coach.
Yeah.
But
have two coaches, one for international tournament and one just for the Hex.
That would be like, I mean, it is funny, but it doesn't really hold water because every one of those guys, every one of his predecessors has come up short. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. So
no, and the Hex changes just because you do good in one.
And I think Osorio, and I think the way the draws panning out, the way his team naturally tends to beat the teams they should beat, the teams that they are better than, they tend to win those games. I think they're gonna qualify out of the group stage relatively, not easily, but they're relatively comfortably as much as you can, and it's gonna be a coin toss to determine whether they go past it. And I don't think it's gonna be so much because of him. I just think it's gonna be largely luck, and if the players find themselves playing in good form at that point, because he didn't learn anything. I don't think he's learned anything. I think they're going to be taking those huge chances and I think the team's just going to be a ticking time bomb, and we'll see whether or not they're able to hold off and limit the damage game to game.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if those bad results come in. There's going to be meltdown in the Mexican media.
Does Mexico? What's going to be a bad result? I mean, are they going to get skunked like 4-0, 5-0? Is that what you consider a bad result, or just two losses?
The losses and the style points, John,
and the way you play.
Yeah, okay. The style points.
So yeah, getting whipped would probably leave us all kind of hopeless. I mean, I'm kind of like 80% there about like how we're going to do in the World Cup. Getting whooped in two games away from the comfort of the U.S. and Mexico, it'll just like cement mine. Like, all right, like you can't fire him because he sucked at two friendlies, but this World Cup's gonna suck.
Yeah, it's like just lower your expectations.
John,
honestly, guys, you remember 97, 98? La Puente took the team in November.
Oh, they were terrible.
But here's the thing, and this goes back to having your players and playing them in their positions, because La Puente caught crap when he didn't take Hermosillo and a couple other people, but he brought in his people that he played with, that he knew with, like Peláez and Cuauhtémoc and Matador and guys that he had played with, and he was very pragmatic. Now, granted, there was a little rough patch in the beginning. I mean, besides Piojo and La Puente, those are probably the best in terms of play. I'd say probably in history in terms of how they played both in '98 and in 2014. They played really well, and those teams came in, as what do you call them?
Bomberos.
I'm ready. I'm ready for my Tuca to come in and perform the
I would not be scared. I would not be scared if we press the panic button and bring in Tuca.
Well, what presses the panic button? Losing 4-5 or losing 1-0 and having like 10%.
I think getting outscored. I'd say 3-0. Having something ridiculous and also playing bad.
So playing badly and just proving that you're nowhere near where the people think they are, some fans think they are.
It wouldn't be just those two games, like we said earlier, against the top teams. He's only won one game, and it was Uruguay that was just in poor form. So his track record is just looking bad.
Well, I mean, again, to me, it all boils down to whether or not he's learned his lessons, and if he hasn't, then it's going to be a long tournament. I mean, that's just the reality.
I question because there's been other better coaches that have been fired for less, and I question if the Royal Rumble that's been going on in the MFF, in the Federation, between the different factions, I'm wondering if that is why, as long as he has, because
everyone's distracted.
I really question that. I really do.
Yeah, no, there is, and like the one faction that was trying to get rid of him got dealt a pretty mighty blow by Televisa. So that was the Grupo Pachuca, who were still going after Bielsa and trying to get other guys. And then they had Higuera. They had Higuera on their corner. And then when the voting came, Higuera went with. He bent the knee, He bent the knee to Televisa, and that just it drove a wedge right there, man. So I mean,
but I've thought about that. It's like, how is it that this coach? Unknown. Let's be honest. Granted, I knew of him in MLS, obviously in Puebla and stuff like that, but it's not like I've ever really thought much of the guy. Coach that unknown, who hasn't really done really well against top, you say against top teams.
Yeah.
And a weekend CONCACAF. I don't see how this guy's been able to hold the job as long as he has.
Because he kept winning in the Hex.
But but even La Volpe did that, Even La Volpe did that. And I don't think that's the standard.
La Volpe's team peaked in the 05 Confet, and then they had already, they started the Hex real hot and then kind of coasted toward the end.
Yeah. You know what? Doing good in this Hex is kind of hurt us a bit, because next Hex is going to be stronger. Some of these teams that were kind of weak, they're going to be better off. We already saw some improvements in teams like Honduras, and even U.S. is going to be stronger.
I think the U.S. will be stronger. I think a couple other teams. I think Panama is going to be on the decline. I think they're generational.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mix and match.
I'll tell you what. Look out for Curaçao. I think that they have a really good chance. I'm not kidding. I am.
You're not kidding.
Dan,
man.
I was gonna say Trinidad and Tobago actually showed.
Yeah.
Showed some glimpses of some pretty good play. Those last two games against the U.S. and Mexico, they
because Curaçao wasn't eligible.
They look pretty good
in the Hex until this last time, and they made the Gold Cup, and they're a pretty decent. I mean, they're a team that could easily make with the way the draw worked to make the final six, and not only that, but after this is the last Hex anyway. This next one, after that, 5 teams are going to qualify from CONCACAF?
Yeah.
So there won't be a Hex anymore. It's going to be the most boring. No. It's going to be even worse as far as
it won't be caminando. It'll be like on a motor cart.
Dude, it won't be coming on. You know what it'll be? It'll be in
patinando.
one of those guys on the
It'll be rickshaw.
exactly one of those bicycle rickshaw guys.
Caminamos en avalancha. You guys ever had one of those in Mex? The avalancha?
No.
It's like a go-kart. It's pretty much a go-kart.
By the way, the World Cup ball was released today. How disappointing is the World Cup ball? I don't know if you guys are into those.
Telstar? I am. I like the designs. They always have like a pretty unique design. So yeah, the Telstar. Like no. It looks plain. It looks like indoor soccer or something.
I didn't see it, John. I mean, I think the worst one was the one in 2002.
Yeah, I don't like that one either. This one is up there with it. It's just basically, Ron, it just looks like it has a bunch of. It's a white ball that has black like
smudges,
like an 8-bit rhombus. If that
I just saw it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I've always the tango to me was just what a beautiful ball.
Tango. The Aztec one was pretty similar.
Yeah, the Azteca had the Aztec pattern and then they used the same one, up until 98. They just had like the Etrusco had there was a Roman thing in it, and then they had the Cuestra.
Yes. Etrusco.
The Cuestra was the one here, wasn't it?
Hey, which is when the classic one, which is with the black and white.
Oh, that's the original Telstar.
All right, but I mean, what do you guys know? What World Cup they played
1970 was the first time they used it.
Okay, yeah, that one was classic.
I think they try to incorporate that classic style with like a modern touch, and
I didn't. Yeah,
it's just not very exciting.
No worky.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they did that for one reason, because of the television, the Bucky Ball. I think it had to do something. The reason they went with that is because of the way it was going to be televised.
Yeah, it was the first one in color.
Right,
why they called it the Telstar.
Yeah,
because the Telstar satellite is what made it possible for people to receive color TV or the color TV signal. So that's why the ball is called the Telstar. But I'm sure that the actual design of the ball was done so that people could follow it easier on TV.
Yeah.
Well, for years and up until FIFA has this thing where the teams have to wear like really contrasting colors. It looks like they're going away from that finally. That people now with HDTV, I think that people can tell the difference between red and green. So, hopefully that'll be so. You guys thinking two bad games and he's gone, bringing Tuca, and let's go.
Honestly, I don't know if he'll get sacked. So panic button was just I meant it in personal terms, like
right.
Are you, but I really don't know. Like Ron said, it's been a bit surprising how he's last longer.
Well, but that's the thing.
We're not used to this.
He kept winning. He kept winning in the Hex. I mean, we talked about it every time it would come up. It's like, how many points does he have to make before, they cut? And he passed every single one of those tests.
Yeah, but I mean, he did bad.
I agree. That's why you can't really rationalize getting rid of him at this point.
I mean, Joel, if he would have gone a game like Chile that goes 2 games without getting a point, then I think they would have fired him for sure.
And I think like it could potentially affect the team negatively, like from a psychological standpoint. I mean, if they're bought in completely in right now at this point, why would you want to rock the boat with so little time to actually give them a chance to play with under another coach?
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think that I don't think any of the players like the rotaciones. Although what they say publicly and all that, I think that's just for keeping the peace. But I think it was a comment that Pipe Valderrama, said that it's like, why the hell am I going to get rotated if I score? If I play well on the weekend and score and stuff like that, why am I going to get benched and rotated the following game? A different. He was a little bit more in the way he said it, and I think that I think that's just a natural human emotion. It's like, if you're doing well, if you're playing well, it's like, why the hell am I going to get rotated the following game?
because as a coach, hay niveles, man. You got to have intelligence and know what players match up to your opponents. And I think that's why
Yeah, but
being cutesy.
other teams have won. You know, playing. You know, I don't want to say iron. But they've played many games throughout the calendar year with the base and stuff like that. But I don't buy what the players say that.
Well,
that,
Ron,
they're
let's say that
Go
Osorio
ahead.
has this happens, and then he has the 3 World Cup games, right? Or he has the game in March, and people keep saying, what if the bad game's here and it doesn't happen? But it finally happens, like in the second game of the World Cup, where they need in the third game to win to qualify. Do you fire Osorio after the second game then?
Of what?
If they play well in the first game but miserable in the second game of the World Cup, but could still qualify for the next round of the third game, so do you fire him after the second game?
At that point, he's already there.
Is that when the firing should happen?
I don't know, John. I mean, it's like you just wait till the
Can you
tournament.
come to Russia, coach us through the rest of this?
You know.
I've always thought that if it's Mexico and bad results are bad for business, and
but here's the thing, and I guess the one good thing people realize, we always had this. I guess it's like, oh, only in Mexico do we have this carousel of coaching changes and stuff like that. It happens everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens everywhere. So it's not just a problem in Mexico or in Mexican football. It happens, all over. And like Tavares, from Uruguay, who's already been there for a long time. Those are the exceptions. They're not the rule, And at the national team, level and stuff like that. But sticking with a coach just for the sake of doing so, or sticking with the system just for the sake of doing so, you do have to monitor both the results, the progress, how you play the game, like I think I told you this what happened to me, baseball terms, what happened to me, when I was a kid. I mean, I was having a really pretty bad month playing games and stuff like that, and I was still surprised that the coach was playing me. In practice, it's like I said, I wouldn't blame you if you benched me. And he just kind of laughs it off, and he says, "You're doing everything well." It's like, what are you talking about? Like the way you're swinging, and I was hitting line drives, but unfortunately, there's 9 other players that are trying to get you out. In retrospect, I was hitting the ball where I was supposed to. I was, hitting opposite side. I was pulling when I was needing to, but I was hitting line drives. I wasn't hitting like, Texas Leaguers or can of corns and stuff like that, or dying quails. I was hitting the ball really hard. It's just, I think that, if you're playing the game, if Osorio was generating a lot, or the team was generating a lot of chances and stuff like that, and playing well, I would be a little bit more sympathetic with the results. But I'm not really liking.
You would be willing to accept the lapses in the back if they're doing well up front.
Not just the back. I would look at everything, not just I would look at the defense. I would look at just at everything. How Chicharito.
Oh, because there's gonna be lapses in the back.
Well, that's not just Osorio. That's how the US used to get us all the time. So that's not just Osorio. But tend to be a little bit more, I guess, open, and I think as to how he plays the game, I think sometimes he plays just too much by the X and O's, and he forgets that there's people that are on the field. I think he's a little bit too technical.
Well, he's very stubborn, unfortunately, stubborn to a fault.
Yeah,
and he has a system, and it's not, and that's why I'm saying. It's although I know that we were talking about folks I know that Tom's over there and Martin's over there, and Martin did say that there was a possibility that there was actually going to play with 4 midfielders instead of 3, which, oh my God. bringing an actual defensive midfielder. So and have two of them.
Two contenciones.
Well, I love Ache, and I think he's a great player, this and that, but he does not come back. He does not defend like a guy that should. He just doesn't, and that's okay. That's not his position. I'm okay with that, but just don't ask him to do that. And it reminds me of in the Olympics when Herrera played in the Olympics, and when he played with Salcido, they were both wanting to do the same thing, and they look terrible. They're bringing Chaton. Chaton lets Herrera do what he wants, do what he does best, and then he's stays back and is the stopper. And then they did 1,000 times better every time Chaton came in. Herrera. So let Diego Reyes do that. Let him be the straight up stopper, or the America kid. If he's going to play with, but if he comes back, with a 4-3-3 and lets Herrera, press in Mexico's attacking third, and leave a 50-yard hole between him and Nestor Araujo, I mean, it's going to be a problem. Because the Belgians are pretty good. They can spot things like that and take advantage of them and create a 4-on-1 in 10 seconds, 5 seconds. That's what I'm worried.
The Belgians have really stepped up their game in the past couple of years.
They have.
At the 2010 World Cup, the most boring game I've ever been to in my entire life was Belgium versus Denmark. Out of that match was the what's that? What is it called? The guerrilla marketing. When those girls those girls they were promoting a different beer, like they were all dressed in orange.
But that was Holland, though. That was Holland, not Belgium.
Was it Holland?
Yeah, Belgium didn't make the 2010 World Cup.
No, what was it? Was it Belgium? No. So sorry, that was Holland. Holland versus Denmark. For some reason, I thought it was Belgium. I forgot. Shit.
Now, Belgium did play in one of the great World Cup games in history, in of all places, Puebla. Against the Russians
were you there?
I was not in 1986, but I remember watching it on TV, and it was one of those games where people that could give two snots about soccer were watching it and were totally hooked because it was just end to end, and it goes in extra time, and the extra time is end to end, and it ended 4-2 in favor of Belgium. But even at 4-2, both goalies had just unbelievable saves. It was just a terrific game. So if y'all ever get a chance, or even watch the highlights, it's a pretty remarkable game. They ended up, that was the year where they lost to Mexico in the group stage, but made it to the semifinals and then got Maradona when he scored his really great.
Negrete scored his famous goal off of them, if I'm not recalling, right?
One of them for sure.
Yeah, the one that scissor kick.
No, Negrete got that against Bulgaria.
Was it Bulgaria?
Ugo scored his one and only World Cup goal against Belgium.
Yeah, that header.
Yeah, when Vasco flicked it to him and he just happened to be there. Yeah, Fernando Quirarte scored the other one.
Yeah,
Mexico actually also beat Belgium in the 1970 World Cup too.
So yeah, we faced them a total of 3 times in the World Cup, I think.
Yeah,
and 98.
Man, that 98 game is still one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah, with Guau's nice sleeping goal.
Oh, and then Gabrito having a chance to finish it off at the end, and yeah, just a great game, a great comeback. That was a talented team. What a great team that was in 2018. Just guys playing at the best of their abilities. Now, who was it that didn't play and that was suspended for yellow cards, and so they had to bring in the guy against Herman Villa against Germany. I forget who the guy was that had to come out because of yellow cards, and I think that's one of the reasons why Osorio is doing what he's doing with the rotaciones. I do think that he is just preparing guys for situations that might happen down the road. Because I think even Osorio is smart enough to realize that, you know what, the level of CONCACAF is shit, and I know that I have to step up my game when I play these other teams.
But wouldn't you do rotaciones at the club level?
Well, I mean, of course, you have to. I mean, especially the ones that play, 3 and 4 tournaments a year. Absolutely, you have to. I mean, you're playing, upwards of 70 games. You have to do it then. Again, one of the things we talked about before you got on, Ron, was that and by the way, I feel I don't want to neglect my duties here, give me. But he has been rotating people less and less. I know that the New Zealand thing was, and I think that was just blind. I mean, if that would have been Chile or Cameroon, I don't think he would have changed 9 guys in a tournament like that. I think it was because it was New Zealand.
But he looked so bad doing it. Mexico looked bad.
Yeah, I mean, you do that in the third game after you've qualified.
Yeah.
Which is what most folks do. But again, I mean, it was, whatever. I don't, it'll all depend on the draw, but I do think that I don't think that we'll see an 8-9 man change. Of course, that could be crazy. I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. But
so Croatia lost, I think, with 4-1
Croatia
to Greece.
Croatia won 4-1 over to Greece, and Switzerland got an away win to Northern Ireland 1-0. Switzerland's a good team, man. They I think whoever the coach was, if it was Portugal or whoever the coach of the group that beat Switzerland, or came in first, Switzerland came in second, said Switzerland will be in the way. He says that this is, we just they're too good not to make it. So he said, so fully expect Switzerland to make. And I want to say if they win, I think that they're going to be a cabeza de serie, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that they have a pretty good team right now, the Swiss. So
they're gonna be seeded.
You know what? Let me check. They were seeded in the last one, so
okay.
Which is just frankly just ridiculous.
And then tomorrow, Italy plays?
Italy plays Sweden tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. It could be Buffon and Zlatan. That's right.
And then Ireland plays whoever they have to play on Friday.
And then Peru also plays.
Saturday,
I think
Saturday.
Honduras and Peru play tomorrow as well, I believe, right?
Honduras plays tomorrow, and then Peru plays. For us, it'll be tomorrow, but it'll be the next day in New Zealand. But
care who qualifies, John?
Pardon me?
You care who qualifies out of those two? Like Peru?
I mean, I would like to see Peru go. I forgot that they were awarded 3 points in the CONMEBOL because of a game that Bolivia had to forfeit, a game that they had lost 2-0.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is wow.
Chile also, had they not complained, they would have gone to the World Cup if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Well, yeah, they would have, but but that's something that's out of their control. Chile had 2 games that they lost, and before the last 2 rounds, that cost them. I mean, all they do is get 1 point out of those 2 games, and they would have made the World Cup. So, they can't control stuff they can't control, but they can't control they didn't, and that's what cost Chile more than anything else. I'm a romantic. I mean, I want to see Peru back in the World Cup. They got one of the great uniforms of the international game with Franja Roja, and then when they go, occasionally they'll go the all red with the white, and that just looks badass. I think that to me is just one of the great looks. It's a team that is identifiable by their uniform.
Yeah.
I think that's where the U.S. misses. I think. I mean, every single time they have a different look for a World Cup, and you have no idea. I mean, you would have no idea who they are. They don't have a.
I always wondered why. You're right, because it is that the jersey is really nice. They have a really nice jersey, but
right. Are they going to be all white? Are they going to be all red? Is it all blue? Is it red, white, and blue? Is it red and white, blue and white? It just
Like El Chavo del Ocho or Don Ramon, he had a Peru little banner in his room. Do you remember?
I mean, I used to watch Shout all the time, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, because there were times where he'd for some reason they would switch it, like they'd switch it to like Necaxa, Toluca. You'd see sometimes
Right.
you'd even see Peru in there and stuff like that. So yeah, they did have a really
No,
nice.
I mean Peru made they made a lot of fans in Mexico in the 1970 World Cup. I mean they played really well, and
do you remember them? Do you remember watching them in '82?
they played okay. Now they gave Italy a good game in '82 because they tied 1-1, and but they lost to Poland 5-1. That was when Lato I think they got a hat trick on him. But
okay.
but I remember '78. I mean, that's where I thought they were just really. But then they played Argentina and Peru or Brazil and lost the combined 10-0 to both. It was unfortunate for them. But I do remember them. I mean, absolutely. That's one of the reasons why I want to see them again. I just it's hopefully they'll I don't know if they'll bring that brand back, but it's just good to have them back.
This
why
I saw a couple of their games. I was really surprised at this. I would have expected the team like the Peru team when they had Pizarro and they had El Chori Palacios. I thought they had a pretty good team, but they would eventually. I mean, they would start crumbling, But I mean, they had really, really good players.
Well, they had Claudio Pizarro. They had Norberto Solano that played at Newcastle for how long? Like 10 years. Had a solid career there. Yeah, they did have good play. It was weird. By the way, wasn't Peru the team that got their result by the guy shot on an indirect free kick at the goalie, and the goalie lets it hit his hands into the net, and that's how they got their equalizer.
I believe you're right.
Hey, of course, I was doing the air quotes. So they get a forfeited 3 points, and they get as gifted a goal as you could possibly get. It's one of those an Amazon Prime goal where you get something the very next day, without having to pay. It just seemed like it was a very nice, a very, very fortuitous play for Peru to get that. No, but I would like to see. I mean, that's to Honduras and Australia. I would like to see Honduras do well, but I don't like the fact. I don't understand how it is that Honduras can play like beasts. Just great, gigantic, confident beasts against the U.S. and Mexico, and then play like minnows against everybody else. I don't get that.
That's because they hate Mexico. They want to show up.
But that's fine. I mean, hey, but I mean, why can't you have that same attitude against Switzerland or again? It just. So if that's the case, then I'd rather see Australia personally. Now, Italy or Sweden, Ron? You want who do you want to have their last shot? Ibra or Gigi? It's a tough one. I wish they didn't have to play each other. It sucks.
That would make it Zlatan. He missed the last World Cup, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. But Gigi has a chance to go the full Dinos off on us. It would be his fifth. It would be his fifth World Cup. Buffon.
He would be along with Carvajal
and Lothar.
You kind of have to consider though the potential. Who would you rather face? If it came to it,
I would rather face Italy, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
Really?
Yeah, because I think that Mexico would be more inclined to concentrate and play better against that type of team than Sweden. I think they would they let their guards down a little.
Just like Honduras, just like we were talking about Honduras.
Yeah. I'd rather believe it or not, I'd rather face Italy.
And honestly, I'd rather have a World Cup with Italy than given the choice in Italy. So I personally would prefer Italy, just because when Italy gets going, they are as unstoppable as a team that wins 1-0 can be. I mean, all right. So they have the Telstar on Univision right now, and it is definitely digital splotches. That I guess is what it looks like the original, the digital version or what I would consider the 8-bit version of the original Telstar. So I guess that's what they're going for.
Now, the thing with, correct me if I'm wrong, but Italy also didn't qualify out of the group stages in the last World Cup, right?
The last 2 World Cups.
Exactly. In fact, I think if I recall, I think my first Twitter messages were, I want to say, as I was watching the Italy game versus, what was it, Slovenia?
Slovakia.
Slovakia. That's who it was. Because it was U.S., Slovakia. It was Italy, Slovakia, and
with New Zealand, and they tied.
Yeah, but I'm talking in
Paraguay.
2010 and 2010.
Yeah, it was Paraguay and New Zealand and Slovakia were in their group, and Paraguay and Slovakia qualified.
No. What year are you talking about?
2010.
No, 2010.
2006, they were with the U.S.
That was U.S. That's right, because they played the U.S.
U.S. Ghana, and I forget who the other team was. The Czech Republic.
Yeah, the Czech Republic. It's 3-0. I think the Czech beat the U.S. if I'm mistaken.
They did, and they also. But then Ghana beat the Czechs. Ghana's not going to be in the World Cup, and I think that's just terribly sad. I think that's really unfortunate that the way that Africa does their.
They did get screwed over, didn't they?
Yeah, they just got put in a really well. You know what? Their group wasn't really that difficult, but
no, I'm talking about that penalty. Was it Ghana? Was it?
Oh, you mean the goal that they got was where it wasn't offsides and they called it offsides? Yeah, they got totally screwed.
Yeah, it was like something about a penalty towards the end. I think I read about there was 2 games that were very, very controversial. I think one of them affected Ghana, right?
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
That it ended up like that for them. But there will be if there's going to be a World Cup debuter, it's going to come out of Africa, outside of Iceland, so that could happen.
You got Panama, you got Iceland, and you said there's going to be a new one, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Panama, and Panama, Iceland, and possibly it depends on who. I know that Tunisia has a real good chance.
Tunisia's been in the World Cup. In fact, they beat us, I think, in.
I know, but I'm just letting you know who has a really good chance of qualifying out of Africa. So it'd be I think Tunisia, either Senegal or South Africa, I think have a good chance. I think that it's like Burkina Faso or the Cape Verde Islands are the ones that have, pretty decent outside chances of things could go a certain way. I mean, it's so unpredictable. I mean, that has to be the most unpredictable region of them all, because the teams are, somewhat evenly matched. Oh, so we'll see how that. Let me see who's playing in Africa tomorrow. I can call it up here momentarily. And then Ireland plays. I forget who is it that Ireland plays in Europe. They play on Saturday. It's the last. It's the last of the 4 in Europe. Oh, Denmark. So, and see, that's another one where I'm okay with either. They've both. The Irish obviously would be more entertaining although the Danes are pretty good. The Danes are very polite. The Irish are just, they're a lot of fun. I would have loved to have been in Orlando with the Dutch and the Irish during the '94 World Cup. That would have been one hell of a party.
You know what, John? It's funny you say that, because I mean, I guess it was so boring I forgot. But for some reason, I wanted to say it was Belgium, but no. In 2006, I didn't go to Mexico's 3rd game when they played against Portugal. I didn't go to that one. I went to Mexico Arena, and I went to Mexico Angola, because I'd figured that Mexico would be qualified by then. Since we were seated and everything,
right?
And I got media tickets to go to Argentina. It was because the same day, and you could only attend one match. So I decided I opted for Argentina, Netherlands, and it's like I was like disappointed, and then it's like I've seen the Netherlands play 3 times in the World Cup, and it's like every time I see them, it's like, dude, I'm like disappointed, because they play boring,
right? Okay, so here's the deal in Africa. At Tunisia, they're up by 3 points. But they don't have the goal. They do have the goal differential too. They have a pretty good chance to get in. Nigeria has already qualified. Morocco and Ivory Coast, so they're two teams that have played in the World Cup before. They have 9 and 8 points, so one of them will make it. And then here's that group I was talking about. It's Senegal and Burkina Faso. But I just saw that Senegal and South Africa have to replay a game because the referee was.
That's the one. That's the one,
yeah,
right?
the referee was found guilty of match fixing. So the result was thrown out, and so they have to replay that. And then they'll all play on Tuesday to determine who wins. So that could be either Senegal, Burkina Faso, or Cape Verde Islands, or the teams that are in the running there. And Egypt has made it. So it turns out it'll only be Burkina Faso or Cape Verde that could be another World Cup debutant. Everybody else has already made it.
Does the African Federation still use the World Cup qualifiers as a means to qualify also for their continental championship?
I think the African Nations Cup. I think everybody. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did. I mean, and that's actually a really fun tournament. I like watching that too. That is a fun tournament to watch.
I've seen a couple matches.
The only thing is that they get really tight toward the end, which is unfortunate because the group stage and stuff, man, they're just it's fun. But the pucker factor definitely sets in, as it does in every tournament. They're in the later rounds, so the games aren't as entertaining. But the first time I ever saw one, Ron, I was in Europe. I was in Paris, and I think it was between Ghana and Ivory Coast. It was a final, and it went to penalties, and they went to like the 13th or 14th round. It was crazy of penalties because it just when they'd make, when they'd miss, they would both miss or both make. It was nuts. And I remember watching it with my sponsor, and he's like, "J'ai jamais vu ça." He couldn't believe it. He's like, "Whoa!" It's just, ooh la la. It was pretty entertaining. So I've been kind of hooked on that tournament ever since. And now you can actually watch it. So I mean, I always really look for highlights, but it's just
now, if I'm not mistaken, in Africa, the team the most, or at least the most winningest team, is Egypt, right?
I think they've won the most African Nations Cups. Yeah, they have.
And then it's Ghana, right?
I think it's Ghana, and then it's either Cameroon or I think it's either Ghana, and then Cameroon or Ivory Coast after that, or maybe even Tunisia too. I know that they've won a handful. And Tunisia, of course, was the first African team to ever win a World Cup match. And I watched the highlights last night. I don't know why I did this to myself, but
78.
Yeah. Here's a trivia question. I don't know if people are still on, but who was the official supplier, or who made the uniforms for Mexico in 1978? It was an American company.
Reebok American?
No, this was the Reebok Reebok is British, but when it first started, but it wasn't around then. It couldn't have been the bigger clothing company in the U.S. I'll give you that hint. At that time.
Levi's.
Yes, sir.
Really?
Levi's.
Oh, shit. Oh, because what's his name? The dude from Pumas. Didn't he was in commercials with Levi's.
Cuellar.
Leonardo Cuellar. I should have known that.
Yep.
That was a crazy guess.
No, but I mean that's what it was. Yeah, I mean back then Levi's was the top, or one of the top brands, and it was Levi's. I couldn't tell you who anybody. I mean, obviously Germany was Adidas, but I couldn't tell you who anybody else was. It's just back then. Yeah, but it was Levi's. It was Levi's.
Would you bring back that kit from '78?
Oh hell no.
Why? Because of the bad juju, or
you don't want any part of that. You don't want any part of
that. Bad juju.
Yeah, because they're
white. Not a bad uniform. It really is.
Was a white shirt with a red and green stripe down that went vertically down the middle. And of course, the other one was again green, white, and red. And again, that's what that to me is what the U.S. just doesn't have. Is you can't just look at a picture. Go, that's U.S. against blah blah blah. Because it always changes. But
Now,
no, it was Levi's. It was crazy. But I am very happy, Ron. However, that they did bring back the guinda though. The guinda is at least
well,
in the
they
training
brought
gear.
they brought that Atletica brought that back during the
They did,
yeah in like
it,
2001 2002
but
yeah
they didn't play official matches in it.
yeah right they
Yeah,
just played friendlies I think in it.
I like the guinda look. I think it's and they did in '86 too. They had the guinda in '86, but they didn't in the World Cup. They went all white.
Yeah.
But in fact, I think actually the last time, Ron, that they wore the la guinda in a World Cup game was against Italy, and it was in Toluca. And I was watching this last. I don't know what I was doing. I must have just, I guess there wasn't needles to shove in my ear. So, but I wasn't alive then. So, but I watched the Mexico Italy, and watching those old. I mean, those balls are moving so slow when they're going toward net. You wonder how on earth did the guy miss that? It's just crawling to the net, and the guy just like lunges and totally misses. It's you got to be kidding me. But the La Bombonera was tiny. It looks nothing of what it looks like now. It was totally. It blew me. It looked like a second division English stadium. It was. I couldn't believe how small it was.
I still don't know why they played it in Toluca. Still don't know why they played it in Monterrey in '86.
They played in Monterrey in '86.
I don't understand why they played it over there.
Well, why they did?
Well, they should have just stuck in Azteca.
Well, they used 12 stadiums in '86.
But Mexico should have played. Mexico should have played.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, you mean like the quarterfinal?
Yeah,
that's just the way the draw was.
Yeah.
But you're right, though. There's no reason why they couldn't have. Well, you know why? It's because of Maradona. They wanted the Maradona to play at the Azteca. That's why. Because he got the quarterfinal against England at the Azteca. And I think FIFA back then said, a stadium can do it, once a round, but you can't do it like they can't do two in a round. Because it was Monterrey, Guadalajara, Puebla, and at the Azteca they had the quarterfinals in '86, and they wanted Maradona at the Azteca.
The game against Belgium, against Maradona, Belgium, that was also at the Azteca, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, the quarterfinal was there, and so was the semis. And had Mexico beaten Germany, they would have played France in Guadalajara.
Oh.
But the reason that game was in Guadalajara was because that's where Brazil was playing.
Son of a bitch, dude. They'd rather see them than. Yeah. Brazil was also in Guadalajara, I think, in 1970, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they played everything in Guadalajara except the final, which they played in obviously Mexico. Yeah, but they played everything else in Guadalajara. Yeah. Yeah, but Mexico, I mean, that was in that World Cup, the Azteca played, they played like 12, 13 games at the Estadio Azteca in the 1970 World Cup because they only used 4 stadiums. I think they used León and Toluca and Guadalajara and the Estadio Azteca, and that was it.
Puebla. They also played them in Puebla, and the reason I know that is because there was some dirty politicking back in the day. The president of Mexico at the time. There's actually an art. I read this in one of the magazines, the old magazines, football.
Is that López Mateos?
He's born. He's from Puebla, and it was a more industrial city. They should have been one of the host cities, but they got passed over. And I should find the magazine. It's actually in the first article in the magazine. The editor at that time was basically ranting about how Puebla is not a football town, considering Monterrey, obviously more industrial, and they got
right.
the teams and stuff like that. So accusing that the reason Puebla got it was because of the Mexico won in Puebla because for his hometown and home city.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. Actually, you're right. It was they were the fifth venue, and amazingly, all 5 of those stadiums are still in use today.
Yeah.
Still.
And that's not a bad thing, John. That's not a
Oh,
bad thing.
I don't disagree with you, man. Stadiums to me are not. Columbus Crew is leaving Columbus because their stadium isn't good enough, and it's only been there for 18 years. I think that's criminal to me.
It is. Like, I was reading how.
And I don't mean that as an indictment on the folks in Columbus. I just think that that's just how the business of sport has gone. I mean, that's just the unfortunate reality of that.
The guy's paid in like 19, 20 years, $0.9 million in rent. Compared to the other teams, it's like nothing. It's like almost this guy. And if the article's accurate with the numbers, it's like the guy they should be profitable.
Yeah,
like you said, right now in this sporting culture, everybody wants their new, stadium
exactly.
with their luxury seating.
I mean, you've seen the Rangers baseball stadium in Arlington. It's gorgeous. It is it's almost iconic. I mean, you know exactly where it is. It's one of the few stadiums in baseball that you can see and go, that's it's only been there since 1994, and they're building a new one across the street. It's like it's been 23 years. There's nothing wrong with that place.
Really? I wasn't aware of that one.
Yeah, so they're building a new one because they want the retractable roof. It's like, I know it gets hot, but you know what? In the summer, start the games at 8. Don't start them at 7.
What are they going to do with the old stadium?
I guess they're going to tear it down and turn it into a parking lot. It's incredibly sad to me. It's incredibly sad to me. I mean, Atlanta just replaced the Georgia Dome. That was only 23 years old.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but didn't like the first state? In fact, this whole stadium building wasn't the ballpark at Camden Yards in Baltimore.
Yeah, that was probably like the first. Well, it was definitely the first one that went back to that retro, that retro look, the postmodern homage to the turn of the century style architecture, and then they all started kind of copying that, and that's kind of how at least the baseball parks are now. Football stadiums starting to look like spaceships.
Yeah. But I actually went to the Baltimore. I caught an Orioles game. In fact, I had never seen Jeter play.
Right.
The last season that he played, I went to go catch him. Beautiful stadium.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's right on the waterfront too, isn't it?
I'm not too familiar with Baltimore. That's actually the first time I'd ever been in Baltimore, so I don't know how close it is. I didn't really see any water nearby, to be honest, John.
Okay,
it is a port city, so I didn't get to see the proximity to like how close it was.
I've been to the National Aquarium there, which is outstanding, by the way. I mean, at least it was, 28 years ago when I went. I'm sure it's still pretty good, but that's the only time I've ever been to Baltimore. But you're right, though. That was certainly the first one that came into that style, and that was, then they had. Well, I'll tell you what happened was Al Michaels, not Al Michaels, Al Davis figured out that he could charge people for just the right to buy the seat with their personal seat license, and it's the ultimate quote unquote convenience fee. And so to get season tickets now, you have to buy this personal seat license, which is just the right to buy the season ticket. So it's basically take it for what it is. And so then people say, "Oh, we got to have a stadium so we can." And it kind of escalated from there. But some stadiums, did need, and I know that, Texas Stadium, when it was replaced, was 1970. So it was, upwards of 40 years old. And the reality about that place is that it needed, but at least in those 40 years, they were keeping it up, which is what Mexico at least has done with the Azteca. The Azteca, although Ron, I'm not going to lie, I hate the awning. I hate the awning at the Azteca. I don't like that awning they have that surrounds the lower bowl. I don't know why it's there. You can't see the fans. I know why it's there. I don't agree with it. But again, they're doing it to keep up with what the business of the sport, and I get it. It's just
and to attract other events and stuff like that.
it wouldn't shock me if somebody said, what if you could design a stadium and not have any seats, just make it all luxury boxes. When is that's when is that going to start happening?
Even being in it and that underneath that awning is not really, because when I'm at a game, I want to see like the whole surroundings. I want to see above me and fans and stuff, and not to be the Niveles perspective and not be with the commoners, but it's fun being with the commoners, right, Ron?
When I was in
speak for yourself, Beto.
First started producing the Longhorn Spanish Radio, they had us out on the photo deck at Memorial Stadium at UT, and I really enjoyed that because when you feel the atmosphere of what's happening in the stadium, it makes it makes a difference. And being inside and like now we're enclosed, and it's so sterile that you really, I have microphones that we hook up that we can hear the outside noise, but it's nowhere near the same. And I like feeling the energy of the electricity of a place. And so I agree, and I think that having that thing around at the bottom, I think, kind of takes away from how special the Azteca could be. It just doesn't look right. It just looks. Aesthetically, I think it's a big. That definitely takes away from the beauty of what the Azteca is.
Do you like what they did to Bombonera?
I like that they expanded, but I hate that gigantic thing on the top.
Like the mural?
I don't like it. Is that there because they're adding a level, they're building a level behind it?
I'm not sure, John. What about the one? What about in Puebla?
The excusado.
Yeah, the shower rings, the shower curtains. But actually, that material that they used, that like the different shades of blues and whites and stuff like that, it's actually a pretty high tech material.
I wouldn't doubt it. I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you what. You know exactly what stadium it is. I'll give them that.
Yeah,
they made it very identifiable.
I thought they went to Walmart to buy the parts for that stadium, man. Because didn't some fans?
You know what? It gives the character, and at night, when they play the games at night, it looks great.
I think some fans went over and tore up the seats just by hand.
Hold on, I want to say that's the stadium. Didn't Piojo play? Didn't Piojo coach? No, like a season or half a season.
I'm sure everyone has punched their ticket at Puebla at one time.
I don't remember. This was a couple years back. In fact, when Julio Davino, I think he played there after he left America. I'm not mistaken. I remember.
It sounds familiar. I don't remember if it was Piojo or not.
I don't remember if it was Piojo, but I remember that Julio Davino was there. And this is a time when they were having problems from different ownership groups.
When aren't they having problems?
Well, apparently they're not having right now. That's from what I understand. But when he was there, Julio Davino was there. He was the one buying the screen TV. He bought I don't know how many flat screen TVs, so they could put in the clubhouses in there,
Right.
But they really remodeled the stadium. At least from the pictures that I saw, nice. I don't know if they did the entire interior, but I know that they obviously.
Well, they had that fortified because it was condemned. They had to do something.
Yeah.
No, so, again, it certainly gave it character. Not necessarily my favorite design, but definitely unique and definitely something that that's instantly, recognizable. So
speaking of which, I read recently what the Tuzos they inaugurated something like a restaurant. But is the restaurant in the stadium or is it outside the stadium?
I couldn't tell you. I know that their stadium is pretty small. I think it only seats 29,000 people.
Yeah, because I saw it on Twitter or something like that. They even had the governor of Hidalgo.
No, that's a groovy stadium because the fans are right there. I think the fans are closer there than maybe the Santos Stadium, but everywhere else they're pretty far away. But they are right there. I think that's really cool. I like that about Pachuca.
Yeah,
that the fans are real real close. Well, Ron, I think that we should probably wrap it up here, but just to summarize, but before we go, your America team. I think that you and Bjork are on the same page, saying that hey, you know what, we're getting results now, but we can be better, which I think it could definitely happen for them. And so are you thinking that Mexico gets embarrassed these next two games, or you think that they do just enough to keep him around, keep Osorio around?
He's going to be around. I mean,
yeah, he's not going anywhere.
He's going to be around. He would really have to really screw up performance wise and result wise in these two games. Can't. He would. I mean, it would have to be another, 5-0, 6-0. For him to get booted.
Speaking of 6-0, I watched the 6-0 West Germany thumping that they gave Mexico yesterday too.
Why are you watching the '78 World Cup matches?
I don't know. It just popped up and stuff that I was looking up because you know what it was? Because I wanted to look up the Mexico Belgium 1970. So I watched that, and then I watched. Well, let's look at the Italy Mexico 1970. So I watched that, and then Mexico scores first, and Italy scores 3 goals, and then so it said that, and it's like, well, this ought to be interesting. And the sad thing was that Mexico actually started that game pretty well. They they had a couple of really good chances on goal, and Hugo came really close to scoring on a chilena of all things against the German. Imagine if that would have gone in; it would have been, everyone would know about that. And the Germans got one like in the 15th minute, but then they didn't get their second till the 31st. But the killer was the third one, like 3 minutes later, was Mexico had a free kick, and Rummenigge blocked it and took it like 80 yards and scored. And so that was the killer. And then they got a fourth one right before halftime. So the third one was the devastating one.
The entire game, or was it just highlights?
Oh, it was just highlights. Oh, I wouldn't know. I don't think I would have been, you'd have to, commit me into an asylum if I had watched the whole game. So it was just the highlights. But you could just tell, we know what had happened. And then, they fell apart. So that third goal was just the killer. And then they ended up losing 6-0. So yeah, I don't know. I did not watch the Mexico Poland 3-1. So I limited myself to that. But Mexico has a really good chance of playing either one of these teams in the group stage. They have a 1 in 4 chance that they're going to play one of these teams in the group stage. So it'll be, it could be a preview for them. I don't necessarily think that Mexico's going to win this game. I don't think that Belgium's going to roll them either. I think Mexico will be competitive, and it wouldn't surprise me if I see. I think it'll be a 2-1 loss to the Belgians, and I think that they'll be just fine against Poland. I think Poland's talk about a team that's inflado. I know that they have a really great forward, and I respect. And they did qualify for the World Cup, and I respect that. But they're number 5 and they were number 6, whatever it is. The World.
What's his name? Lewandowski. What's his name?
Yeah, Robert Lewandowski. Lewandowski. Yeah, Lewandowski.
Yeah.
Well, he plays for Bayern, right? Is he still at Bayern?
Correct.
At Bayern München. Is that where he is?
I believe he is. Or is it Dortmund? I forget.
Bayern.
Yeah. No, he's really good. Now they have a couple of good players, so I mean it's just going to depend on who. If it sort of goes with a quote unquote B team, I think Mexico will lose. But yeah, I mean as long as they quit themselves well, and again don't give up that awful, 2 or 3 goals on a 4-on-1 and stuff like they did against the Germans, then and against Chile, then I'll be fine. I'll just accept the fact that Mexico will go as far as they go in the World Cup, based more on the draw than anything else. Because they could make it out of their group, but then they play Germany or Brazil or France in the next round, and they'll have no chance to win that. But if they end up drawing a Peru, let's say, in the second, not to say that they're going to beat Peru, but their chances are much better of beating Peru in the round of 16 than they are of beating Germany. So that's where I think Mexico is headed. I think a round of 16 is a pretty good possibility. The quarterfinal depends entirely on who they play, or if they make it to the quarterfinal. So, and hopefully this will be a barometer of that, and see if they can handle that. Hopefully they can. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure as always.
Word.
Good night, guys. Pleasure.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Chiquis. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We were going to do an hour, but we kind of kept going. But that's quite all right. It was a lot of fun. A lot of good conversations with Joel Aceves and Daniel Preciado, who fell off earlier. Ronnie is falling off as well. And Chiquis, thanks again for joining us, man.
Yep, no problem.
This has been the CantinaMX Podcast. We'll be on again. Check your local listings because I know that. I know, at least I know I'll be traveling next week. So the show may be on Thursday, maybe on Tuesday, Wednesday. We will figure it out. But
and the game tomorrow is during the day.
It is. It's like at 1:00 Central, if I'm not mistaken. And then the game next week will be during the day too, because it's in Poland, so it'll be during the day as well. So you guys will want to keep an eye on that. And of course, by the time the next show rolls around on Thursday, we will have our World Cup field. So that'll be exciting as well. We'll know exactly what teams we're gonna want to see, and what teams we're gonna want to avoid in the coming draw. And hopefully, Croatia will be in pot 2 with Mexico. I think that's a team that Mexico doesn't necessarily want to have to face again in the group stage. So, but either way, we'll talk about all that next week. My name is John Jagu. Thank you guys for listening, and we will be on with you guys next week. You can listen to this and all of our previous editions of the CantinaMX Podcast on iTunes at the Podcast Center and of course on Google Play. Thank you all very much. We will talk to you next week.